Hi there. This is Espin Dolores. I would be delighted to help you with your upcoming presentation. If there's anything you need assistance with, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Providing exceptional service to you is our highest priority. Enhancing security posture with multi-factor authentication, MFA. In today's world, passwords alone are not enough to protect our online accounts. As we manage dozens of accounts, keeping every password unique and complex is becoming increasingly burdensome, leading to users reusing passwords, which can lead to chain attacks when one password is revealed to hackers. The vulnerabilities of passwords, coupled with the possibility of hackers getting hold of them, has led to some businesses moving toward two-factor and multi-factor authentication, MFA, to make up for the flaws of passwords. MFA involves using two or more varying methods to authenticate users when they try to access sensitive accounts and digital assets. This presentation will explain what MFA is, the types or examples of MFA, how it works, benefits and challenges, as well as its use in the future. What is multi-factor authentication, MFA? Multi-factor authentication or MFA is a security process that requires users to provide two or more forms of identification before accessing a specific account or system. In other words, MFA involves combining multiple authentication methods such as passwords, security tokens, biometric data, and smart cards to ensure the identity of the user trying to access a specific account or service. The ultimate goal of MFA is to maximize the security of online accounts by adding an additional layer of protection beyond a simple password. This additional layer of protection helps to mitigate the risk of unauthorized access, data breaches, and cyber attacks. The evolution of MFA. Older generations of MFA involved using passwords and a second token. However, these methods had two fundamental problems: they were unfriendly and insecure. Most users found it bothersome to go through an extra step to verify their identity each time they wanted to access their accounts. This consequently pushed users to deactivate 2FA on accounts or frequently used devices, which opened the way for new types of attacks and account takeovers. Although traditional 2FA is more secure than plain passwords, it is not uncompromisable. It still involves the use of passwords, which have very distinct vulnerabilities, and the secondary factors often have their security holes. The next generation of MFA mechanisms will combine impregnable security and ease of use, ensuring that users have a frictionless experience while preventing hackers from finding and exploiting loopholes. Passwords will most likely disappear and give way to more reliable and user-friendly methods. Biometric authentication is one of the most promising alternatives. Biometrics were previously expensive and inaccurate, but recent years have seen precise and affordable fingerprint, iris, and face scanners integrated into a large number of consumer devices. Companies will be able to leverage these technologies to replace passwords. An example of modern multi-factor authentication is Secret Double Octopus's passwordless identity verification solution. Secret Double Octopus obviates the need for storing any form of secrets, be it passwords or security keys. Moreover, every authentication attempt is performed over multiple channels, each using a separate security method. Meanwhile, the user experience is seamless and frictionless, requiring only a tap or a fingerprint verification on the Octopus Authenticator app. The type of MFA. There are various types of MFA that can be opted by either users or the service provider to enhance the security of the online account. SMS-based MFA. This method sends a one-time code to the user's mobile phone via SMS. The user then enters the code into the login page to authenticate the account. Token-based MFA. This involves the use of hardware or software tokens, which generate one-time passwords that are used to authenticate the user. Biometric MFA. This involves the use of physical characteristics to authenticate a user. Biometric MFA can include fingerprint, facial recognition, or voice recognition authentication methods. Smart card-based MFA. This method involves the use of a physical card that contains a chip with the user's credentials. The user inserts the card into a card reader to authenticate their account. Push notification-based MFA. This method sends a push notification to the user's mobile phone. The user must then approve the notification to authenticate their account. How does MFA work? Hackers count on people being lazy with their passwords, which is a problem with organizations of every size and type, including industry giants like Google. Multi-factor authentication requires additional credentials beyond the username and password for gaining access to an application, site, or data. There are three basic elements that can be used in multi-factor authentication: something the user knows, like a password or PIN, something the user possesses, like a smart card or mobile phone, and something the user is, as represented by, say, a fingerprint. MFA works by requiring users to provide additional authentication factors beyond their password. When a user attempts to log into an account, they will be prompted to provide an additional form of identification, such as a one-time code sent to their mobile phone or a fingerprint scan. Once the user has provided the additional authentication factor, they will be granted access to the account. Benefits of MFA. One of the biggest benefits of multi-factor authentication is that it allows organizations to use advanced security options like single sign-on, which is easier for end users but harder for hackers. With single sign-on, the user performs an initial multi-factor authentication process. Once that was done successfully, the end user is admitted to their single sign-on software and can gain access to all their required apps and data without having to go through multi-factor authentication again. The following further explains the benefits of MFA. 1. Enhanced security. MFA adds an additional layer of protection beyond passwords, making it much more difficult for attackers to gain access to accounts. Even if a hacker has managed to steal or crack a user's password, they would still need to provide additional authentication factors to gain access to the account. This significantly reduces the risk of unauthorized access, as attackers would need to obtain the user's phone, fingerprint, or other authentication factors to bypass MFA. 2. Reduced risk of data breaches. MFA helps to reduce the risk of data breaches by requiring multiple forms of authentication before granting access to sensitive information. This makes it much harder for attackers to gain access to critical systems or data. Even if a hacker gains access to one authentication factor, they would still need to bypass additional factors to gain access to the user's account. This provides an extra layer of security, protecting sensitive data from being compromised. 3. Improved compliance. Many industries require MFA for compliance purposes. For example, the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, PCI DSS, requires multi-factor authentication for remote access to cardholder data. Similarly, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA, requires healthcare organizations to use MFA to protect sensitive patient data. Implementing MFA not only enables organizations comply with these regulations but also help them establish an additional layer of security. 4. Remove forgetting password issues. The need for users to create different passwords for different platforms and applications, and also the possibilities of forgetting those numerous passwords. MFA methods are easy to use and do not require the user to remember additional passwords. For example, biometric authentication methods such as fingerprint or facial recognition are seamless and do not require the user to remember any passwords or codes. While MFA offers many benefits in terms of increased security and protection against hacking, it also comes with its own set of challenges that must be carefully considered and addressed. One of the most significant challenges is the potential for MFA to create a poor user experience. Users may find it inconvenient and time-consuming to go through an extra step to verify their identity each time they want to access their accounts. This may lead to user frustration and even abandonment of MFA altogether, leaving accounts vulnerable to attack. Another challenge is the cost and complexity of implementing MFA systems. For businesses, implementing MFA systems can be expensive and require significant IT resources. This can be a particular challenge for small businesses that may not have the budget or expertise to implement complex MFA systems. There is also a risk of false positives or false negatives in MFA systems. False positives occur when legitimate users are prevented from accessing their accounts due to MFA security measures. False negatives, on the other hand, occur when hackers are able to bypass MFA systems and gain access to accounts despite the added security measures. This can be particularly problematic when MFA systems are not implemented properly or when users are not properly educated on how to use them. Finally, there is the risk of MFA systems becoming a target for attackers. Hackers may target MFA systems in an attempt to bypass them and gain access to sensitive information or accounts. This means that MFA systems must be continuously monitored and updated to stay ahead of evolving threats. The future of MFA. The future of MFA is likely to involve even more advanced forms of authentication. For example, biometric authentication is already becoming more common, with many smartphones now using fingerprint or facial recognition to unlock the device. In the future, it is possible that biometric authentication could become the primary form of authentication for many applications and services. Another potential development is the use of behavioral biometrics. This involves analyzing a user's behavior and patterns to verify their identity. For example, the way someone types on a keyboard or uses a mouse could be used to authenticate their identity. This type of authentication could provide an additional layer of security, as it would be much more difficult for a cybercriminal to mimic someone's unique behavior patterns. In addition to new forms of authentication, the future of MFA is also likely to involve greater integration with other security technologies. For instance, the use of machine learning algorithms to detect and respond to potential threats in real time. This integration will let organizations to quickly identify and address security issues and prevent bigger cybersecurity risk. In conclusion, as technology continues to advance, so does the need for secure authentication methods. Multi-factor authentication, MFA, is a reliable method that provides an additional layer of security to protect sensitive data and prevent unauthorized access. Although MFA is not foolproof, it is an essential tool for protecting against cyber attacks and maintaining the integrity of online systems. As the future of MFA continues to evolve, we can expect to see more innovative and user-friendly methods that will make it easier and more convenient to secure our digital identities. Ultimately, the adoption of MFA will continue to grow as organizations recognize the importance of protecting their assets and customers from increasingly sophisticated cyber threats. eSpin Group specializes in providing enterprise ICT solutions and value-added services to help organizations achieve transformational growth. As part of our services, we offer customized training programs tailored to meet the specific needs of each enterprise, in addition to consulting, system integration, project management, and maintenance support. Contact us today to learn more about how we can assist with your organization's training needs and contribute to its development and transformational journey. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch our presentation. We sincerely hope that you found it valuable and informative in some way. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at info@espincorp.com or visit our website. Once again, thank you for your time and have a wonderful day.